agree to
welcome to SPADS episode 18. We'll get straight into it. We're joined by Stuart today, our number one Spurs fan. Not that I'd probably want to be that right now. So, CONTE Spurs, let's be honest. Was it ever going to work? I mean...
was it ever going to work? Okay, right. So here's my take on the whole Spurs thing. I'm not just going to talk about Conte. I'm not going to go into too much detail on all the different things that have built up to this point, but here's my take on it. So I think breaking it down into three sections, you've got the ownership, you've got the manager, and you've got the fans. And the players. Four areas, right? I think with the owners, so let's just call that Levy for now in terms of who's sort of running the ship, if you like. Like I said last time, I'm not changing my tune. I think they're doing a good job in terms of managing a club, giving them a different route to market to make the club financially stable, and delivering world-class facilities in terms of the stadium, the training ground, all the rest of it, right? No issues there, but they have made a lot of mistakes along the way. So in terms of sort of managers' appointments or managers getting sacked, so, you know, Mourinho a week before the final when he's an out-and-out kind of like proven cup winner.
Strange that was, wasn't it?
What's that?
That was strange. Did he ever fall out with a player, like, because it's a weird time? Like, it was obvious that he was going to go because he just lost the dressing room. But it was a really strange time because, like you say, because considering he's the sort of manager that would have won the title, won the trophy,
won the cup,
by just playing defensive and get a 1-0 win or something.
Boring way of football.
Really, yeah. So, you know, loads of mistakes, and then I think when you look back at the managers we've had over the last 10 years, I think for me, Poch was, in terms of success and results, and I call success what you want, but for me, success was how the club went from where we were to where we finished with Poch until the last season when he was sacked. Okay, so top 4 finish every season, Champions League final. We didn't win anything, but in terms of where we were and when we got to, in the player progression, the squad progression, it was brilliant. And I think what it boils down to from the owner's point of view, or Levy's point of view, is that he's tried to put the right people in the right job at the right time. And they've made mistakes in appointing the wrong manager at the wrong time. Okay, so for me, Poch was the right person at the right time, and that's proven in my point of view. But he didn't then get the financial backing. And what happened for me at that point was that the team we had 4 years of being the same starting 11, pretty much out and out every game. And I think when it got to the season when he got sacked and we lost what it was, nine games in a trot and he got sacked, they were burnt out. They were played every single game thrown at them, the same starting 11, no rotation or little rotation, and that was a problem, right? Now, the reason Poch was so revered and loved by the fans is because we played a style of football which I think Spurs fans wanted to see, okay? So we want to see attacking football on the front foot, creative midfield play, which we've always had. It's been synonymous with Spurs from Ginola, Gascoigne.
Weren't it? Let's be honest, Poch football was entertaining, even though I'm a Man United fan. It was always like, do you know what, you're always going to see it, go for it. And it was entertaining football.
Yeah, but as a football fan, that's all you want to see. You want to see entertaining football, don't you? You know, your team might get the odd 1-0 here and there by playing boring football, but it's horrible to watch. You know, you don't enjoy it. You know, and that's very similar to sort of like, you know, Chelsea at the moment. You know, they're not playing entertaining football. The fans aren't liking it. You know, you want to be seeing entertaining football week in, week out. You know, to me, if you're playing nice football and your team lose, you can sort of stomach that a little bit. Because you think, actually, they played really, really well. It looks nice. You know, they've done well. We've lost, but they put effort into it. But when you go out and you don't play nice attacking football, it's boring. You know, you don't want to watch it, do you? You know, my father-in-law was a Spurs fan, so I watch a lot of Spurs games. And you know what? I find it boring now. You know, I'd rather, you know, go and play with the kids on the Sunday rather than watch Spurs play. You know,
I find
I think
it makes it look like they're not trying as well, doesn't it? Because there's no energy, because they're not pushing. So it just looks like everyone's given up. And I think that's where some of Conte's comments have come from. It's like, oh, I've got no... But he's not moved with the times either, I don't think.
See, I think
he's lost his day, as has Mourinho.
So
And they've sort of, it's not their time anymore.
No,
so
that's it.
You say that. I honestly think that if or when Conte does go, he'll walk out into another club and role and position, and he'll probably win something within the first year and a half.
He'll go back
that's
to
the type
Italy,
of manager he is.
Yeah, he'll go back to Italy and probably go and be like in the Champions League. Give him a season and a half, and he'll be
but it's a completely different kettle of fish, though. Go compared to the Premier League. And you just look at any manager that's come into Spurs. You've had Mourinho,
Nunes,
Conte. Do you know what I mean? They're proven winners, and not even they get a tune out of Spurs. So it's not just them; it comes deeper, doesn't it? It's got it.
Do you not think that when Pochettino, when his bad run happens? I mean, to me, in the final against Liverpool, when they were in the Champions League final, Kane wasn't fully fit. I understand why he played him. He wasn't fully fit, was it? He was basically hobbling around. Then,
but what else would they have though? You know,
but I'm just saying,
half fit Kane then was probably just as good as anything else they had.
Yeah, they didn't have the backup.
But we still is there.
No, because just on that quickly, I think the issue with that was for me personally, and I'm a massive Harry Kane fan. Obviously, I think all Spurs fans won't have a bad word to say about the guy. But what happened for me was he was injured for the last 2 or maybe 3 Champions League qualifying games that got us to the final, and he didn't play. So the team that got us to the final, with a team that got us to the final, he wasn't involved in that from that point onwards. Obviously, the early games, yes, right?
Lucas Moura.
So Lucas Moura being one of them. Okay, so Harry Kane's then apparently, like you say, fit, but clearly not 100%. And you bring him back into the squad regardless. And I understand Poch's choice on that, but the team that got us there was not the team that came out as a starting 11. Now, would we have had a different result? I'm not saying we would. I mean, obviously Sanchez giving away the penalty in the first, whatever it was, 6 minutes was a bad start. But I think that massively affected the whole team because they're looking at it going, well, hang on a minute, like Lucas got us a hat-trick against Ajax or whatever it was.
That's it.
And he's not even starting in the final. How can you do that to a player that's just got us here?
That's it. It's
I think
hard,
that sort of broke the team a little bit. But I think it wasn't, like I said earlier on, it wasn't anything but just fatigue for me. But it got Poch sacked. They were burnt out. The same starting 11 for 4 years, pretty much, with a bit of rotation or a few players in and out, but nothing major. And that was the issue. And I think, like I said earlier on, the playing style is the issue at the minute in terms of what we want to see is causing fans frustration. I don't think Levy understands that complicitly. I think he probably does see it, but he doesn't understand it. No. He just thinks if we get results, we'll be quiet. And to be fair, most fans would be quiet if you're getting results, but playing boring football.
Yeah.
But like most Spurs fans, I'm not saying it's not the same for all Premier League teams, but for most Spurs fans, if you go and win a game 4-3, you'd rather watch that 1-0 and just sit back and just let a team come at you for the whole game. And that's why we were so good under Poch, because we did concede a lot of goals, but we pretty much always outscored you, which is why we were always second, third, or fourth in the league. 100% entertaining football, and we'd all take that. But at no point, and correct me if I'm wrong, can you look back and say, you can see the investment from the board when Poch was doing well. We didn't have it. We didn't have it.
The last signing wasn't so he was crying out for players because he did need to reinvest in that team, and he didn't get anything. I think, didn't he say something in an interview like he basically called him out in the summer saying, "Look, I need additions. I don't know if we're going to get it." Then the one signing you got was in Dembele, and it's like you paid what was it, like 60 million?
56 mil, I think.
56 million. I mean,
club record.
And now I said it last week on the show. I was like, if you looked at what has been spent on managers, players, and getting rid of those managers and all these players that have been brought, and give that to Poch. Now, I know you wouldn't give all of that to Poch because obviously the manager money, but that's money spent. Can you imagine where? I mean, I'm not saying they would have won the league, but I think they would have been in a better place than they are now. Because personally, I don't think they're any better.
But you say they're not in. That you're fourth. They're fourth. That is,
that's the other bit.
They're playing.
You're not having a shocking season.
No,
I think it's the reason we fans are kicking off the way they are is because we can see Newcastle, Brighton, Liverpool Well,
Arsenal. That's the worst thing as well, isn't it? Arsenal are fighting for a title now. You know what I mean?
I keep saying, we're fourth. We are fourth now, but if you took the games in hands away, we're possibly sixth if we're lucky, based on the current form of how Brighton and others are playing. So, and what seeing Arsenal do it the way they've done it, and this is my one of my other points, is that we've let Arteta create a style of football or reinstate that type of football, that sort of tic-tac football that Arsenal are synonymous with. And they gave him time to do that, and they didn't buckle under the pressure of media and fans and say that Arteta's out, which is what they did for quite a while, if you remember last year. Now it's come good, and we've given Conte arguably 18 months, I guess. He hasn't had a full season. Potentially, we've got Levy controlling more of the signings and not 100% letting Conte have all of his own signings, and that's a separate subject, I think, because there's a lot going on with sort of Jed Spence and other people like that. But I think that's really not helped at all.
Does the sporting director actually be a sporting director? The one that you got from Italy? Because
Paratici.
Yeah, because now I know the whole idea was that Levy. Now he's obviously, I know he's the money man, and he obviously what he's done with the stadium is incredible, and the revenue and all this stuff that he does is fine. But to me, I expected it to be that Levy, you wouldn't really be hearing that much about him. The sporting director would be the face of the sporting side of it, but to me, it just seems like this sporting guy's come in and Levy's still pulling the strings in the football side.
But the only reason you hear about. Because that's not, everyone points the finger at Levy. Because people think they can't point the finger at the manager because you've got world-class managers in there. But when you've had arguably two of the best managers ever to grace the planet, and they still can't get a tune out of them, you're then going to point your finger elsewhere, aren't you?
And I think as well,
they've not spent like the others have. So then you're like, okay, well, it's got to be Levy's fault then. And if Levy's got the sporting director in, then but the sporting director's there to go and find talent. If he goes and finds the talent, goes to Levy, you don't buy it.
It feels on that point. It feels to me like everyone's sort of working in silos a little bit. Like Levy's doing his thing on his own. He's got his own agenda. Paratici's got his own agenda, and he's obviously got his own name and kind of brand, if you like, out there in terms of European football and Italian football. Conte's trying to do something else, and it doesn't marry up. And then the fans are kind of feeling and seeing that it doesn't match up to how we want to see us play.
You've got four ivory towers battling against each other, haven't you?
Literally, And I think we've got the biggest problem at the minute is we have got players that aren't playing. We're probably 18 months into what would have or should be a 3-year plan, maybe even a 5-year plan, to be honest, to weed out old players or players that aren't performing, getting fresh blood, promote the academy players where we can. And the biggest thing that we've all been saying, even since I think the last time we all spoke, is that we're missing this creative midfield player, even the one. If we had, for me personally, what I'd love to see at the minute is an actual number 10, say Richarlison or Danjuma as number 9, and then behind Kane would sit this sort of Højbjerg, Bentancur defensive, even oh God, I forgot his name. That's terrible. The guy we bought from Brighton.
Basuma.
Yeah, Basuma, thank you. Even him in that defensive role, Kane's the only one at the minute who can ping a ball left and right and play through balls and break open play. He's the only one in the team that does it. And that's what we're missing. And
but you need him on the end of it.
Eriksen, Modric. Like you can go back, over time, over the last few years, how we've had success.
But do you not think Kulusevski is going to be that playmaker for you? Every time
he's gone off the boil though, and he was brilliant, and he's gone off the boil.
He was injured. Yeah. He's a wide man, cuts inside, same as Son. Really, I don't see him sit in the middle of the park. To be honest, I don't think that's his game. He's quite direct. He just gets the ball, runs the players, uses width, and that's him really.
Fair enough.
But I think going back to sort of current topic of Conte, it's so hard to pinpoint what's going on. Right? I don't disagree with anything he said in that interview, the interview that everyone's talking about.
You don't think like his rant, right? I know they're going to dress it up and say, "Oh, he was trying to call the players out." He's done it too many times; it doesn't work. Do you not think basically that rant sounded like an Arsenal fan or a rival fan taking the mick out of That's basically exactly what it sounded like to me. And I was thinking, you're the manager doing it.
There's a massive barrier, I think. The way he says stuff is not the way he means it as well. I think because he knows the words that he's got to say that means it, he doesn't mean it. Do you know what I mean? I think there is that issue as well. I think people are going to look into it further than they need to.
Yeah, well, his way of trying to get the sack so he gets the money. You know,
it doesn't matter. They've got to buy him out either way.
Yeah, 15 million quid.
Yeah.
Either way, it's
peanuts.
Legally, whatever. But is Potts the answer? Who would you have him back?
Oh, he's not sure, is he? He's thinking Roy Hodgson.
I think for the way we play football under Poch, that's why everyone keeps saying get Poch back, because if we can play the same way, then fine.
Yeah,
the issue at the minute is we're kind of saying Mourinho, Conte couldn't get a tune out of this set of players, even though we've had new signings since, but this set of players. If Conte went tomorrow and we brought in someone who could just motivate the existing squad, when you look at it on paper, we should, and arguably are, the big six, but also a top 4 side, okay? Who that person is to come in, based on who's been talked about in the media, who's likely to come in, who isn't, Ryan Mason apparently will be the caretaker for 10 games, which apparently, by the way, in terms of paddy power, they say that because their rules are 10 games. If someone's in charge of 10 games, they are the manager, regardless of whether it's the club calls them the caretaker. If you're going to put a bit on it, I don't honestly know. I wouldn't be if Poch came back, but we need investment. We need to see through the next 18 months to 2 years of a plan and kind of say, look, this is our identity, this is our style.
It's like a rebuild,
players
isn't
we
it?
need.
It's
100%.
Rebuild, isn't it? And I don't think I want to get away from that named manager again. You've tried that. I mean, what they were thinking of when you got Nuno Santo. I mean, I don't understand where that
I actually liked it. But when we first appointed him, I was like, that's a good shout.
Just try something different. We've had some big names. Let's try something.
Do you think the Brighton manager would go to Spurs?
He ain't going nowhere.
I don't think he would leave Brighton myself.
Not a minute, because
I don't see why you would. It's a great club.
A 4 spot.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd leave anywhere to go anywhere but the top 3, I think.
Yeah.
And he'd be hard pushed because
wouldn't leave to go to United. Why would you want to go to United? That's awful.
You don't need him.
You got Eric Sevenhag.
I see
living on the 7.
Enrique got linked with Spurs, but I don't think that's going to work, because I mean, let's be honest, he's been an international manager for quite a while. It's still those names. I just think you kind of need someone like Ten Hag that's a younger, that's probably built something in another league, and then comes over. I know that manager. Was it the Marseille? Where's the guy in France that was a football manager, played the game? And now he's
Will Still.
I mean, obviously he's not being linked with Spurs. But you need, I don't know, you don't want an unknown, but you need that manager that's going to be given time. I mean, it is a rebuild, because let's be honest, Eric Dyer is still playing your centre defence.
No, I know.
The problem is a rebuild costs money.
Yeah. And so paying a manager £15 million a year that don't do anything.
And he ain't going to spend the 300-400 million quid to rebuild, is he? Let's be honest.
But you need a manager in there who can nurture players, bring them through, and the Mourinho, Conte, they buy players. They don't make young players good.
All day long.
Yeah.
Someone said down TalkSport today, said it was Majestic, the DJ, and he said the manager they've had, Pochettino, was the last one that actually made more players.
Yeah,
but these ones don't. They like you say, they just buy them.
Yeah,
improve players.
Nuno could have been that manager who, if given the time, could have started to get the youngsters through, nurture them, because he done reasonably well at Wolves without spending.
I think his style of football
money
affected him though. His style of football wasn't the most exciting, was it?
Well, hang on a minute. They just had Mourinho. Then they got Conte. The style of football
is worse.
And you've got to live with that for a bit when you're doing a rebuild and giving someone time anyway, because he's got to play lots of different styles with lots of different players to work out his best. Then he can work out what he needs and go from there. So it's like, but you've also got to think we're Tottenham. We've got to get in the top 4.
Yeah.
and that's where.
Yeah.
But this season's a bit weird. You know, you've got 2 teams in the top 4 who haven't been in there for the last 4 or 5 years, sort of thing. You know, it's one of them things. You know, it's just completely wide open this year. You know, the top 4. The top 2 are probably, that's it. You know, them 2 will be first and second, whichever way around. But third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, you know, it could be anyone at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a top 4. It's not guaranteed for anyone at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, if Conte does get sacked, and I think we can all probably agree that it's likely 99% he is going to be gone this week.
Yeah. It's probably isn't it? It's probably already been done.
Well, probably, yeah, more than likely.
On his Ryanair flight that he was in economy,
yeah.
You see that?
They're working out who's in breach of which contracts to work out who's getting paid what, I guess.
That's it,
I think it's a bit like Hodgson going back to Palace. Is Poch coming in, putting an arm around people, giving them a cuddle, saying it's all right, you'll be all right, and letting them unleash a bit just for the last 10 games and seeing what we can do. Because I think a lot of it, if you look at sort of Son, he's a bit of a broken man at the minute in terms of how he plays football. Kane is just Kane; he's just consistent all the time. But some of the players, you look like they've got sort of shackles on them. Someone comes in and lets them off the leash a bit. We'd be like we were 2.5, 3 years ago.
2019.
So he might be the right man for now. Is he the right man to build a vision and deliver something in the next 3 to 5 years? I don't know. But then, having said that, this time last year, like I said, we were saying the same about Arteta. Is this the right man? Are they doing the right thing? All of a sudden, it's come good. So I hate using Arteta as the example, but
you've got the other side of it as well. Levy goes to Poch and says, "Will you come back?" Poch says, "Yeah, but I want some guarantees that you're going to give me this. You're going to give me some time, give me some money, give me this, and is he going to go? Yeah, all right then."
And that thing on Poch, it's when obviously Spurs bought, is it Spence? When they bought him, you thought, do you know what, that's not bad. I know he's got a little bit of a name about him, he's got a bit of an attitude and stuff. But Pochettino, even if he didn't say I want to sign him, he would have worked with him. He would have, I'm not saying it guaranteed, but he would have worked with him. Conte didn't he was not even entertaining it, was he? He was like, I didn't sign him.
And do you know what's more frustrating for me is that with Spence is that we've basically overspent in that for that one position. We've got probably six people playing right wing backs. We spent 44 or 45 million on Porro. He seems, to be fair, pretty decent so far. But I don't know if you saw, Jed Spence went to, was it Reims or if it was, I can't remember, some French side, Lyon or someone. I watched the highlights of his first game on YouTube. If you look it up, I think he was scored or got an assist in his first game, and just tore people apart on that right hand side. Went, and I was when he came in, I was like, brilliant signing. I mean, Snippet, what was it, 18 million or something he paid for him? So fantastic player.
Yeah.
When he came on as a sub against his old club in the cup game, was it? I'm sure it was a cup game.
Middlesbrough, weren't it? Or was he on loan at Middlesbrough? I can't remember how it was.
No, but we were struggling. He came on, and he was the best player for that last 10 minutes on the pitch for me. And then he didn't play again. It's like, what? I don't care. Like you say, it doesn't matter if you sign him or not. If he's good, whether you agree with his attitude or not, just make him play, mould him. Do it. You're the coach. You're the manager.
That's it.
You were a defender yourself. Like, tell him what you want to see from him and what he needs to do to improve. Like, madness. But I mean, what's also mad at the minute is we're screaming out for a creative midfielder. And we've got Ndombele and Celso both out on loan, and even Brian Hill, if you want to go that far.
Isn't Ndombele getting like 200 grand a week wages as well paid for?
Yeah, and both clubs have all, but they're on the loan clubs have already confirmed that they're not going to axe their option to buy either. So they're coming back in the summer. So I'm not saying I was that impressed with any of them directly. Lo Celso was good in his day. Brian Hill's got loads of potential, but I'd rather have him back now when we're crying out for someone to feed the front three because they're not getting the service. It's just mad. And then, Joe, just to end on it, not end on it, but one massive point. I didn't actually know this until earlier this week. Late last week. we have got the worst goals conceded record out of the top 12 teams in the Premier League.
Wow.
And we are being managed by a defensive manager. And that just makes you go even more like, what is going on? Like, this should be like our bread and butter. This should be, we just don't concede, but we do score, counter-attacking, whatever. Yeah. It's just not happening.
You think you've got the worst defensive record, but you're still fourth. You know, how
at the minute?
At the minute, yeah. But games in hand mean nothing. You know, points in the bag is the most important thing. You know, especially the way the Premier League is.
So you're saying we can move swiftly on. So you're saying about midfield and that. What about Mason Mount possibly leaving Chelsea? I mean, Dave, you might be happy because he's linked with you boys.
Yeah, I'll take him. I think under the right management, and he looks like a player who wants to play. He looks quite skillful. On his day, it's great.
I'm really surprised because he almost fits Potter, doesn't he? He's almost a Potter kind of player.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Young, intelligent. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know where it's all gone wrong, to be honest.
It's full of running, isn't he? He's full of running. He's got a great shot. He put the effort in. Yeah, I'll take him all day long.
He's a good player. It'd be mad to think. I know he's got a year's left on his contract, and apparently he's asking for quite high wages. Chelsea no, but then would you really let him go? Even if Liverpool pay 40, 50 million, I don't think they'd pay 50 million for him. Would you really let him go at Liverpool? Because let's be honest, he's potentially to go there, and he would be there for years. And he's in and around the England team all the time. He's always getting picked for England. He's a good player. I like him. Don't let you down. I know he's not in the greatest of form at the minute,
but again, this is that because of management? The way he's being treated as a player, you're not going to play very well, are you? If you're not,
he doesn't play as much, does he? Not being funny with the amount of players they've got.
If you don't play week in, week out, you're not going to be in the best of form. You might come on and have a good 20 minutes, but that's it. You need 90 minutes every single week to be in your best form. Otherwise,
he needs regular football. He's proved he needs regular football.
I heard today that he's currently on reportedly 80k a week, and obviously he's now surrounded by people on 200 to 300k a week average. I mean, and I think I heard him do an interview sometime earlier this week or late last week saying that he's been with Chelsea since he was 6, so he's come up through the academy. He doesn't want to go anywhere. I can imagine he's looking at going, hang on a minute. One, I'm not getting paid my worth. 2, I'm not getting game time. We need to negotiate a new contract, so I think that might be part of it. But to be honest, he's one of those players where even as Man City, I don't mean that literally, but from Man City down to the big 6, basically, if he was on the market, any one of those big 6 would snap him up.
You could put him in any of those teams. So you could put him in the Liverpool midfield. You could put him in the Man United midfield. You put him in the Man City midfield. Maybe not start in their first team all the time, but he could easily go in there and have an effect on that team.
He would start in the Liverpool midfield every time at the moment.
and hours.
I would take him all day long. I
suppose it's those things Chelsea have done to themselves, because obviously smashing all that money, all those players they've brought in, like you say, they're not on like 100 grand a week. They're all on a couple of 100 grand a week at least. So he is going to be like, hold on a second.
It's not just that they're not going to get rid of them new players now because they've got 8-year contracts,
and they need to balance their books, so they're going to have to get rid of some of their lesser players just to balance. Money.
But he's got Naffle on his contract. They've got 5 or 6 other new ones sitting on 7-8-year contracts.
And the rest they're going to
I've got no choice there, and they know they get big buck for him. So they're like, right,
but
we don't want it.
But then should you think though, as a collective, all Premier League teams don't buy a player from Chelsea because they'll be done on financial fair play. Because potentially they're not going to get in the Champions League this year unless they win it. Financial fair play, they're going to be screwed, aren't they? They'll get relegated or whatever. So do you not buy players from them? It's one of the things, isn't it? But I would say
he's changed his agent as well, hasn't he?
That's very dirty thinking, Dave.
It is dirty thinking.
It says my meeting's going to end in 10 minutes. So we'll go on to quickly Crystal Palace sacking Vieira. Do you think it's the right decision? I think it's a bit premature, I think, to be fair.
I don't think that's the right idea. I think, he was doing all right there. He's, Sorry?
13th.
12th when he got rid of him.
13th, but there's like 3 points from them, and which is close.
But there's definitely 3 teams worse than Palace.
Yes.
Yeah. Man United.
Dave.
But no, it's one of the things.
Top 4.
I couldn't believe they sacked him. I thought he's doing all right. Yeah, they're not having the best of seasons, but he turned it around. There was something said, I think, today that they think it might not be that he's lost the dressing room. He's had an argument with the owner or something like that.
Yeah, isn't there? Because didn't he get rid of? Is it Sean Derry, the ex-player that's like a coach? And apparently, when
he just disappeared, didn't he? Disappeared under strange circumstances.
Yeah, and apparently Vieira didn't like it because Vieira's quite a calm, even though what he was like as a player, didn't like it. And then Derry's still being paid, but apparently, obviously, but. I don't understand what they expect. At the end of the day, you went away from Roy Hodgson, which is always a safe pair of hands, was boring football. Let's be honest, the last few seasons was boring. The Zaha was always it was always held back. And it's like, no, I know he's only there to the summer, but why do you sack a manager if you don't have a bloody contingency plan? I don't get it. I don't understand that.
I reckon you're going to bring Roy in and just go, Roy, just go for it, and it's going to be completely different football.
All out attack.
Honestly, I reckon he's just going to go 75 now. I don't care.
Roy's never gone away.
One last hurrah.
Yeah,
why not? Go for it.
Storm up and get top 4.
So the Fulham Man United game, obviously, it looked like we were going to get beat by 1-0.
You mean the Fulham game? Because they were the only ones that did anything worth talking about.
Yeah. But then Mitrovic has a bit of a mad one. Obviously, we know what happened. Now, it's ridiculous what's gone on. Personally, yes, Fernandes, what happened? Was it a week before or a couple of weeks before?
Yeah, about 7 days before.
Yes, Fernandes should have had a card. Not sure if he should have had a red, but he should have been booked for what he done. Mitrovic, now they're saying he should have like 10 games ban or whatever. Personally, he's got a 3-game ban. That's what he should be. I don't see.
I think it's got to be more than 3, just for the 2 reds in the season aspect. Because pushing a referee.
He's already had red card. Okay, yeah.
It's got to be 4 or 5, I think.
I think.
Then set a precedent from having your 2 red cards and then touching a referee. There's got to be a difference between that.
But it wasn't just
whether it's not hard or whatever. You need to get that out again.
Yeah. It wasn't just touching the referee, was it, though? It was afterwards as well. He didn't leave the field of play. He carried on arguing with him. Yeah. It's just so disrespectful. It was said again, like in the rugby this weekend, England-Ireland, there was a player sent off. Some people said it shouldn't have been a sending off. Others, no one confronted the referee. It was just, referee's made a decision, done. That's it. Because even beforehand, Maguire came up to the referee when the penalty, he was in the face of the referee. Maguire should be leaving him alone still. That's the thing. Footballers do not respect the referee.
I've got a slightly controversial view on it.
He's like, should have done more.
Should have chimed in.
No, right. So, referees will. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure they'll have some kind of confrontation management. Okay, so how to manage confrontational people in certain environments where there's high emotions, all the rest of it, a bit like police do, and all the rest of it. They're trained to understand that, right? And we talk about respects a lot in the context of the Mitrovic incident and respecting referees, and I completely agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with it. When I watched it back, and I watched it several times, he is, in my opinion, the referee. And if you watch it, he does blankly ignoring Mitrovic, as in he's not looking him in the eyes, he's avoiding eye contact, he's walking away, he's not even engaging with him. If that's in a walk of life for you and me, and someone's ignoring you, like, oi, mate, I'm talking to you here, like, what are you doing? Like, don't walk away from me. I'm not saying you should hit them or push them. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. Yeah. But I don't think he meant to do it in a way of a nudge because you're annoying me. It was more. I don't mean that literally. I mean, as in, it's more. It's like, oi, I'm talking to you. Look at me. Look at me. Talk to me. And he got ignored, and that's why that elevated his emotion in that moment. If a ref had turned to him and at least just said, at least when you watch it in rugby, we talked about rugby. They may not give eye contact, but they'll communicate. They'll say, "Look, we're reviewing it now, VAR. Just stand back and wait." And they'll be really firm with that. This ref did nothing. He just completely ignored him. Let him come on to him. and then started backing away. And only when it got to the point where he sort of chest bumped him a little bit, at that point it had gone too far, and that was a red card. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But if he'd engaged with him, and I'm not saying he should have engaged with him and endorsed it, but he could have engaged with him and said, "Look, my view on it, walk away."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a conversation. You know, they have training on this, and I don't think he did that personally. And I don't think he should have got a red card for the way it got to, but I don't think it should have got to that point, because the ref could have dealt with it slightly better and given mutual respect a little bit by actually engaging with him when he's trying to talk to him. And I don't know what was said. He could have been really rude and aggressive and sworn at him a lot, but we don't know that.
Yeah.
He could have just said, "Oh, what are you doing? That wasn't a red card. Like he didn't mean to handle the ball." He could have just said it like that.
But that's everything wrong with refereeing at the minute.
Yeah.
There's no consistency. They've got no control. They're not allowed to get on and do their jobs because they're relying on everyone. They're relying on VAR and all that. So the refs will probably just like, well, I don't know what to do.
They're relying on VAR now. I think VAR is sort of taking a little bit of a back foot in some cases, which is is not what it's for. It should be there more in depth. But I think it's like taking a little back foot. But that's
the whole thing's just inconsistent.
Yeah. But it's always football's always been inconsistent. The refereeing is never the same.
You'll probably find a different referee would have handled that different. Might have made it worse. You know what I mean? Another referee might have made it worse. Got in his face. And who knows if he'd done that? I mean, I get what you say, because I suppose in the rugby referees, I know we always compare rugby and that because it's more disciplined and they have more respect. The rugby referees, they do speak to the players and they go, right, I'm talking to you. Like, and they do.
Yeah. We can hear that as well as fans.
I was going to say
But the funny thing was, a Fulham fan rung up TalkSport the other day and they said, you know what? I know all the Fulham fans are saying this referee's got a bias against Fulham. He hasn't. At the end of the day, he's a referee. But he just turned around and said, do you know what Mitrovic hardly does anything. And if he's not having a good game, the only running that he does is chasing the referee. And he says
sounds like Fernandez as well.
Yeah, Fernandez.
It's true, isn't it?
I was going to say this. Since the World Cup, Man United do it as well. There seems to be a lot more players surrounding the referees than there was before. It's as if, like, since the World Cup's like, let's just go. It should always be just the captain.
Yeah,
that's it. The captain that goes up. Captain even pushes the other players away. So go away. I'm speaking to the referee. And do you know what I mean? But I don't know. It seems to have, I don't know, changed, gone back.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else you boys want to add? I mean, that's pretty much what I had written down. Is there anything else you want to say? We've got 2 minutes left.
There's no football, it's just international break now, isn't it?
International, yeah. England, Ukraine, isn't it?
Boring.
England, Italy. Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah. Internationals don't, interest me. I just find it boring.
Tournaments do, but not anything.
Not the qualifiers. Even the qualifiers. All right. To be fair, we're playing Italy, half decent side, so that might be a reasonable game. But still, it don't matter, does it? It's just boring.
Yeah.
What does anyone think about the squad selection?
Well, it's a bit. It's very Southgate, not Southgate at the same time. Like, you've got Maguire in and Tony in. It's like that's chalk and cheese in his decisions. You're like, well, sort it out.
That's if Tony actually plays, though. I mean, that's the thing what we said about it, didn't we? Will he actually play?
With everything going on, usually Southgate just avoids all that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, he's got stuff going on, I'll avoid it. For him to call him up, you think, well, hang on, that's completely un-Southgate.
Yeah.
And then Maguire's had about 60 minutes of football in the last 5 games. You're like, I know you've never been down, but for Christ's sake, man.
Yeah, he's been solid for England, isn't he, Maguire and Southgate? Yeah. So that's it,
It's done all right for United, to be fair, when he's come on.
That's all I picked straight away.
We have to wrap that up, boys.
All right.
It's been a pleasure. Stu, thanks for coming
Stu.
on. We'll definitely get you on again
thank
soon. Kev, hopefully we'll be back next week. It was a family funeral, but thinking of you, Kev.
I don't know.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and subscribe, like, comment, and have a good week, boys.
Good night.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers. Goodbye.